What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Now, with only about 4 hours of sleep in the last 24 hours, the Royal Rumble is now thankfully done and dusted, and we are now officially on the road to WrestleMania 36 with two winners in the proverbial catbird seat. There was, however, a lot of news backstage, including a real-life altercation between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle, some missing Royal Rumble entrants, WWE changing the Royal Rumble winners at the last minute, an update on Edge's contract in WWE, as well as MVP, an injury that occurred last night, the WWE's next Saudi Arabia show, and an AEW star recreates his own invasion at the Rumble. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as we look at a real-life backstage altercation between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle and what could have possibly started it. Now, although details are a little sketchy at this point, it has been told that both Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar were involved in a real-life heated confrontation backstage. The word going around backstage is that the two superstars passed each other while walking backstage, and according to sources, it was described as a tense situation. Now, many have reported that this was in no way planned, unlike the Goldberg-Dolph Ziggler altercation in a restaurant in Vegas sometime last year. That was completely worked. In fact, many reports are saying that this is the first time that Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar had actually met, and it's safe to say that neither is a fan of each other. Now, many know that Matt Riddle is one of the most outspoken wrestlers on the WWE roster, and he really doesn't hold back on any opinions of wrestlers and calls it like it is. Now, only just last year, Riddle critiqued Goldberg's wrestling ability, which didn't sit well with the former Universal Champion. In fact, his words against Goldberg led to the two having a confrontation backstage, and although it didn't look like it was planned, it wasn't as heated, with Goldberg saying, "I'm not your friend, bro," and then he proceeds to call him bro again. But anyway, that's Goldberg. What's the deal with Lesnar? Well, again, Riddle has a number of opinions about the Beast Incarnate, as during an interview on NXT television last year, he had this to say on why he wanted to retire Brock Lesnar. "Retiring Brock, it's no secret. That's been the goal since I started wrestling, since the very beginning. I like to set goals that seem impossible. Only one person can retire Brock Lesnar, only one person can end his career, and that person's gonna be me. I don't like how he does it, I don't like the respect that he shows, and I don't like the work rate he puts out. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's capable of more. Maybe it doesn't work out for me, maybe it doesn't work out for the first time, but I guarantee you I'm gonna beat him and I'm gonna retire him." Now again, we don't know all the details of what transpired, but this was probably the main reason for the confrontation. But even though Riddle says that he could beat him, but the thing is, Brock better be ready for a fight, because it's clear that Riddle doesn't back down even after running his mouth. He has a very carefree attitude, much like Shawn Michaels did in the mid-90s, doing or saying whatever he wanted. But who do you think would win in a real fight, Lesnar or Riddle? Both have UFC backgrounds, but to be honest, if I bet my money on Riddle, I'd be eating just bread and water tonight. Don't get us wrong, he can fight, but Lesnar looks to be bigger and stronger. As Sam Roberts mentioned on his Not So Sam podcast, that he didn't hear about any confrontation happening backstage. I did not hear any of the confrontation backstage between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle. I know that these websites are talking about it, but it didn't happen around me if it did happen. Now, in all fairness, he was at the Rumble, but maybe the news didn't travel to him. Do you think the confrontation was legit, or was the WWE trying to pull the wool over our eyes? Next up, some missing Royal Rumble entrants. So, where was Cain Velasquez? Where was Sasha Banks? Why didn't they appear in the Rumble? Well, in Velasquez's case, he did confirm himself that he was going to be in the Rumble, and apparently he was booked to be in it, but plans changed at the last minute. Wrestling's favourite curmudgeon Dave Meltzer shed some light on the situation as to why they didn't use the former UFC champion in the Rumble, as he could have had a returning confrontation with the Beast Incarnate. Cain Velasquez was told that he was in the Rumble, obviously that changed. So there were a lot of changes made as far as what they were going to do at the end, a lot as always the case. With Cain, it was like a big segment on the show. They brought him to SmackDown in a long time for a big announcement that he was in the Rumble, and nothing was ever followed up on. As for the boss, many expected her to be an unannounced entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble, but again, WWE didn't follow through. However, in Banks' case, there was a much better reason for her absence. Fightful Select reports that Banks isn't actually medically cleared to wrestle. They reported, when asking why Sasha Banks wasn't in tonight's Royal Rumble, Fightful was informed that Sasha Banks wasn't cleared to compete. She's not wrestled since January 3rd. We weren't told a specific injury or the severity of the injury, or even when she's expected to be back. Hopefully she'll be back soon and the injury isn't so serious, but it's been reported that Kelly took her spot in the Rumble. Next up, WWE changes the winners of the Royal Rumble at the last minute. So not only did the WWE change their mind about a few entrants, and possibly switch some around, they changed their minds last minute regarding the winners of both the Royal Rumbles. According to Dave, yeah, we know there's a lot of news from him, Meltzer. He confirmed on the Observer radio show last night that the original winners of the Rumble were going to be NXT's Shayna Baszler and the big dog Roman Reigns. He went on to mention, "This has been confirmed. Shayna Baszler and Roman Reigns were scheduled to win the 2 Royal Rumbles, and then as they were trying to decide what was going to happen for WrestleMania, the decision was made to go with Charlotte Flair and Drew McIntyre. Now we would have been all for Shayna Baszler winning the Rumble, but there could have been a huge backlash had Roman Reigns won it. Yeah, he might have regained some of his audience back, but not many fans wanted him to close out the Rumble as the winner. Still, regardless of the loss, it's been rumored that Reigns will still be in the title picture going into WrestleMania 36 as he battles The Fiend for the WWE Universal Championship. Next up, an update on Edge and MVP's return. Last night, WWE shocked the wrestling world with the Rated R Superstars return in the Men's Royal Rumble, as after 9 long years, Edge officially came out of retirement as number 21. Both he and MVP returned as free agents in the Royal Rumble, and whilst MVP didn't last long in it, a mere 24 seconds, Edge fared much better, lasting until the final 3 with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, until Reigns eliminated him. So was this just a one-off return? Well, in MVP's case, it is a short return, as Meltzer reported that he's only in for a couple of nights. Presumably that includes an appearance on Raw or SmackDown this week. As for Edge, things are a lot more awesome, as Wrestling Insider's WrestleVotes tweeted, "Edge recently signed a new 3-year contract with WWE for significant money." But where does WWE move on with Edge from here? Well, according to Dave, they are to follow up from Edge's elimination of former tag partner Randy Orton, as the Viper mistakenly trusted Edge, but he dumped him out straight after they agreed to work together. Orton forgot the first rule in the Royal Rumble: never trust anyone. Next up, an injury at the Rumble. Now, according to Wrestling Inc., AJ Styles suffered an arm injury after landing awkwardly on his left shoulder following the spear from Edge. Styles came back up from the spear holding his left arm, and it appeared to be dangling. A referee stepped on the apron to communicate with Edge, and Styles was tossed out right after the communication. The phenomenal one was then tended to by WWE officials and medics at ringside right after his elimination. It was then reported that AJ was then seen backstage holding ice onto his arm and will probably undergo a number of tests to ensure that he's medically cleared to wrestle. Damn, we hope AJ is okay and there isn't any significant damage to his arm. Next up, WWE announces the next Saudi Arabia show. WWE have confirmed they will follow up the next Saudi Arabia show, and it will be called Super Showdown 2020, which will take place on February 28th from Riyadh at the King Fahd International Stadium, the same venue for the 2019 Crown Jewel event. Now, it's been reported that many superstars might be reluctant to go after last year's debacle, including some top superstars, but let's see if they'll follow through. And our final story today, an AEW star recreates his own invasion at the Royal Rumble. Now, D-Generation X storming a WCW show in 1998 has to go down as one of the most iconic moments of the Attitude Era. However, that invasion might have been topped last night, as AEW star Sammy Guevara did his own little invasion at the Minute Maid Park, the venue of last night's Royal Rumble. Sammy came equipped with his own mini tank and upped the war tenfold.
WWF, you know that statement's just not true. Because I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So at best, you guys got a 25% chance to beat me at Sacrifice. Sacrifice? What are you talking about?
Of course, don't get your panties in a twist, it was just a joke. But there you have it, guys, the wildest wrestling news and stories you need to know after the Royal Rumble. What do you think of the original winners? Would there have been huge backlash? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.